Ava, my son's fiancée, called me 3 weeks before the wedding. Her voice was calm, but her words cut deep. You make me uncomfortable. We want peace on the wedding day. It's better if you don't come. I didn't say anything right away. I just sat there, my hands still wet from doing Ethan's laundry. Then I said one word. All right. She probably thought she'd won, but what she didn't know was that she had just made the biggest mistake of her life. I didn't tell Ethan. I didn't tell anyone. I just sat there, feeling stunned. A few days earlier, I was helping plan the centerpieces. Now I was being pushed out of the whole thing like I never mattered at all. I'd kept quiet for so long, bit my tongue more times than I could count, just to keep the peace. When Ava forgot my birthday, I said nothing. When she called my lasagna a little heavy and offered to bring her own gluten-free version for Thanksgiving, I smiled and said, "Sounds great." Even when she told the wedding planner that ivory didn't look good on me, and maybe I should wear a darker color, I didn't say a word. And still, I paid for it all. The venue, the string quartet, even the expensive orchids she said reminded her of her childhood in Bali, though she never seemed to remember which island she was from exactly. I worked 2 jobs to help give her the wedding she dreamed of. Meanwhile, she treated me like I was just some annoying background noise. And then, without even talking to Ethan, she uninvited me. She didn't care how it would make me feel. Or maybe she did. Maybe she thought I'd just take it, like I always had. And for a while, I did. I cleaned out the guest room. I canceled my dress fitting. I didn't even open the stack of bills, still waiting on the counter. I kept telling myself, this is what mothers do. They stay quiet so their kids can be happy when it hurts. But something didn't sit right. It wasn't just the pain of being left out. It was the way she said, "It's so cold, so final." Like she wasn't afraid I'd cry or make a scene. She was afraid I'd see something. Something she didn't want me to know. That night, when the house was quiet and the dishwasher was softly humming, I opened my laptop. I told myself I wasn't snooping, just trying not to feel so erased. I looked at photos from the engagement party, the one I hosted, the one she barely posted about. Just one photo, and not a single one of me. Kept scrolling through her profile. It was all perfectly posed pictures, smoothie bowls, beach shots, captions about living your best life. But then I found older posts, from before Ethan, before the designer clothes, before the fake confidence. She looked different back then, softer. Her smile looked real. Then I saw a photo that stopped me cold. She was wearing a short white dress, not a wedding gown, but close. She was standing next to a man I'd never seen before, in front of what looked like a courthouse. The caption said, "Forever starts today." It was from 3 years ago. I clicked on the guy she was with. His account was gone, deleted or shut down. But his name was still there, David Santiago. My stomach dropped. I scrolled back to Ava's face in the photo. It was her. No question, just younger. Same eyes, same smile. Lonely. This one looked real, not posed. David had his arm around her waist, and they looked ... right together. Like they belonged. I searched through her profile, trying to find more, just a few pictures with him, all around the same time. Then nothing. No breakup post, no sad quotes, just silence. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but it felt strange. Ethan never mentioned a David, and Ava never talked about her past, not even a little. Every time I asked simple things, where she went to school, what her parents did, she brushed it off. "Oh, I've lived everywhere." Or, "It's kind of a complicated family story." I used to think she was just private. Now, I wasn't so sure. I stared at that one photo for a long time. Something about it wouldn't let me go. I opened a new tab and typed her full name, Ava Bennett Santiago. Nothing came up. Then I tried Ava Santiago. Then, Ava Santiago marriage. Honestly, I didn't think I'd find anything. I was just following a hunch. But then something popped up, a small registry entry on a website I didn't recognize. No pictures, no details, just 2 names. Ava Marie Santiago and David Elias. Santiago date, June 2020. My chest tightened. Maybe it was a coincidence, I thought. Could be a cousin or a distant relative. But deep down, I knew better. I remembered that photo, the look in her eyes, the way she always dodged my questions. This wasn't just a chapter she'd closed, which was a door she'd locked and buried. And now she was about to marry my son without ever telling him. I leaned back in my chair and looked around the room. Ethan's old backpack still hung on the hook by the door. The same worn-out one he used all through high school. The one with the ripped pocket I'd patched 3 times before he let me replace it. That boy, my boy, was about to marry someone who might not be who she said she was. I closed the laptop. I didn't have solid proof, just a gut feeling and a trail that was starting to heat up. But I know myself when something doesn't feel right, I can't let it go, especially not when it comes to Ethan. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed thinking about every little moment I'd shared with Ava, every time she gave me that polite, practiced smile, every time she made me feel like I didn't belong. Now it made sense. She didn't uninvite me because she was afraid I'd ruin her big day. She was scared I'd see through her. That wasn't paranoia. That was a mother's instinct. And it had never failed me before. The next morning, I opened my laptop again. This time, I wasn't just browsing. I was digging. I didn't want drama. I wasn't looking for dirt to throw. I just needed the truth for Ethan's sake. I saved the photo, took a screenshot of the registry, opened a new tab. If Ava had really been married before, there would be records. And if that marriage hadn't ended, I didn't finish the thought. I just kept digging. Slowly, carefully. I wasn't ready to say it out loud yet, but I could feel that this went deeper than I wanted it to, and I wasn't stopping until I knew the full story. I didn't tell Ethan what I was doing. He called that night, acting like everything was normal. "Did you see the updated seating chart Ava sent?" he asked casually. I said I had. He didn't ask how I felt, didn't mention that I wasn't even on the list anymore. In the background, I could hear Ava laughing. The sound made my skin crawl. It was too perfect to practice, just like everything else about her. I kept my voice steady, asked about the caterer, asked if he needed help with anything. He said, "No, we've got it all covered." Then he hung up. I stared at the phone for a long time. I wanted to believe he didn't know, that she made the decision without telling him. But Ethan isn't dumb. He just stopped asking the hard questions. I couldn't tell if that was love or denial. The next morning, I took the day off work. I sat down and made a list of everything I knew and everything I didn't. I made a folder on my computer and labeled it Ava Personal. I dropped in the Instagram photos, the registry screenshot. Then I started searching court records. I wasn't sure what I'd find. Maybe nothing. Maybe everything. Public records are messy and slow, but sometimes they reveal stories people thought they'd buried for good. I searched by counties, cross-checked names. Every dead end made me more certain I was onto something, because people don't erase their past that thoroughly unless they're hiding something serious. Hours passed. Then I found it, a marriage license. Ava Marie Santiago and David Elias Santiago. Camden County, issued June 12, 2020. No divorce. Record none. My heart was pounding. This wasn't just a suspicion anymore. It was real. She was still married, still legally tied to another man while planning a wedding with my son. I printed the record, highlighted the date, circled the names. Then I opened another tab and searched for David Santiago. But he was hard to find. No social media, no job listings, no address. It was like he'd vanished. But I had that photo from Ava's Instagram. He was real. He had a face, a name, and a past connected to her. And now I had proof. I had a feeling Ava didn't just walk away from her past, she buried it. Maybe she even paid him to stay gone. It wasn't just a wild guess. It was the way she handled everything: quiet, smooth, no fights, no noise. She didn't yell. She just erased, like she'd erased me. I got up, grabbed the big wedding binder I'd been filling for months, and flipped through the pages. My handwriting was everywhere: notes about payments, due dates, deposits. Ava had called urgent. It looked like a planner's notebook, but really, it was proof that I'd paid for everything, including my silence. Now, I was about to pay for the truth. I sat back down and remembered something, a little comment she once made about Camden. I'd asked her where she used to live, and she said, "I had a rough time in Camden. It's where I learned to hustle." It hadn't meant anything at the time. Now it did. So I searched for warehouse jobs in Camden. One job listing popped up from a logistics company posted 6 months ago. The name of the supervisor was listed. I called and asked if a David Santiago had worked there recently. I expected a no, but the man said, "Yeah, we did. Don't think he's here anymore though." That was all I needed. I asked for the address, told him I was an old friend. He gave it to me without a second thought. I jotted it down. I didn't know what I was going to say if I found David. I just knew that if he was still legally married to Ava, then Ethan had a right to know. He deserved to know. I folded the marriage record, slipped it into a manila folder, and grabbed my keys. If David Santiago was out there and willing to talk, I was going to find him. And if Ava had buried him so deep that no one could, then I'd know exactly what kind of woman my son was about to marry. Either way, I was done being silent. The drive to Camden was 4 hours, mostly flat highway, too much time to think. I didn't play music, didn't call anyone, just kept one hand on the wheel and the other resting on that folder on the seat beside me. Inside it, the marriage license, the Instagram photo, a printout of the job listing, and a sticky note with David Santiago written in bold block letters. I didn't know what I expected to find. Maybe a guy with a new life, remarried, doing fine, wondering why some strange woman was knocking on his door, or maybe someone who'd lie for Ava, or maybe ... no one. But I've been through enough in my life to know when something's real, and this felt real. The address led me to a tired-looking duplex. Half the paint was peeling, the windows were cloudy with grime, a for rent sign was curling at the edges on the unit next door. I parked across the street, checked the number again, then crossed over with the folder in my hand. I knocked once, then twice. I heard movement, a pause, then the door opened just a crack. He was wearing sweatpants, a hoodie, unshaven. He looked like he hadn't seen sunlight in days, but it was him, David Santiago. I recognized him from the photo. No doubt. David, I said softly. He didn't say anything, just stared at me, waiting to see if I'd give him a reason to. Shut the door. My name is Sarah, I said. We need to talk. Still silent. I held up the folder. It's about Ava. That worked. His eyes flicked to the folder, then back to mine. In 1 second, I saw it all: recognition, fear, and then this tired kind of surrender. He opened the door wider. What do you want? He asked. To talk, I said. 5 minutes. He let me in. The apartment smelled like instant noodles and old carpet. A single mattress on the floor, no couch, no decorations, no TV, just one broken chair, silence, and a wall clock that had stopped ticking. He sat down on the mattress. I stayed standing. She's marrying my son, I said. Next weekend. That caught him off guard. He blinked. Your son, Ethan, they've been together about 2 years. She told me he was just a client. Told him she'd never been married. David let out a short, bitter laugh. Of course she did. I pulled the marriage license out of the folder and handed it to him. He didn't flinch. Just looked at it and said, yeah, that's us. You're not divorced? I asked. No, she paid me to disappear. My breath caught. She what? $10,000. Said I was holding her back. Said she'd ruin me if I ever showed up again. I'd just lost my job. Got evicted. She found me at a motel, gave me the cash, and told me to vanish. And you did? I asked. What do you think? He said, motioning to the empty apartment. I needed the money. I sat down, folder still in my lap. My voice was low. She cut me out of the wedding. Said I made her uncomfortable. Said she wanted peace. David shook his head. She's scared. Scared someone will see behind the act. That's what she does. She builds a perfect image and then runs when the truth catches up. So this wasn't a one-time thing? I asked. No, he said. She's always calculating, always performing. She's good at it, too good. I looked at him, really looked. He didn't just look tired. He looked empty, like she hadn't just left him broke, but broken. I need you to come with me, I said. To the wedding. To tell the truth. His head snapped up. No, no way. She told me she told you a lot of things. But this isn't about her. It's about Ethan. He doesn't know who she really is. And if you don't help me tell him she's going to do this all over again, you think he'll believe me. Not if it's just your word, but I have proof. The license, the photos, your story. It'll be enough. He looked at me, uncertain. Why should I? Why should I risk getting burned again? I opened my bag, pulled out my checkbook, wrote a number, and slid the check toward him. 20,000 for 1 day, one truth. He stared at it like it might explode. You're serious? Dead serious. He didn't speak right away. His hands shook a little as he held the check. I didn't rush him. I let the silence do its work. Finally, he looked up. If I do this, he said slowly, we do it my way. Deal. He gave a small nod. The kind you give when you know there's no turning back. I stood, closed the folder, and walked to the door. I'll pick you up at 9, I said. Don't be late. The morning of the wedding, I woke up before my alarm. I didn't eat, didn't drink coffee, just sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the dress I'd picked out months ago, the one I was supposed to wear before Ava told me not to come. It was navy blue, simple, long sleeves, just enough to feel classy without being over the top. I hadn't bought anything new. I couldn't bring myself to spend even one more cent on this mess. I smoothed the fabric, zipped it up, and stared at myself in the mirror. I didn't look angry. I looked ready, like a woman who knew what she had to do and had finally made peace with it. At exactly 8:57, I parked outside David's place. He was already standing out front, wearing a wrinkled shirt and the same worn-out shoes from the other day. I handed him a tie as he got in. Borrowed it from my neighbor's kid, I said. He nodded, quiet. The car ride was silent, but not awkward. We were both locked in, focused. It felt like we were on our way to fix something broken, not crash a wedding. The venue was exactly what Ava had dreamed of, a country club outside the city. Fancy chandeliers, marble floors, a string quartet playing soft music that made everything feel expensive. As I pulled in, I recognized a few vendors, people I'd paid, people who now acted like they didn't see me. I didn't care. I wasn't here to be noticed. I was here to stop something I should have stopped sooner. David stayed close. He gripped the folder I gave him. Inside were the receipts, marriage license, screenshots, everything we knew. I had my own copy in my purse, just in case. No one questioned us as we walked in. That's how these places are. If you look like you belong, no one checks. The ceremony hadn't started. Guests were milling around, taking selfies under a huge flower arch, the one I'd paid for, $1,600. I remember because Ava said orchids were essential to the vibe. Then I saw her. Ava, she was with her bridesmaids, fake laughing like everything was perfect. Her dress was flawless, hair perfect, makeup like something out of a bridal magazine. But her eyes were scanning the room. She was looking for a threat. And then she saw me. Her laugh cut off mid-sentence. Her shoulders locked. Her face froze. Then she saw him. David. Her mouth dropped open. No words, just raw panic. A bridesmaid leaned in to ask her something, but Ava didn't respond. She turned and hurried toward the back, fast. I didn't follow. This wasn't about cornering her. This was about stopping her. And the only thing she couldn't control was about to happen right in front of everyone. David leaned in. She's going to try something. Let her, I said. We waited until the music started. Guests began sitting down. The quartet switched to something trendy, dressed up to sound classical. I didn't recognize it. Didn't matter. The officiant walked up. The chatter died down. Then Ethan came out. My son. He straightened his tie and smiled that nervous, hopeful smile. My chest tightened. He looked so young, so sure, so in love with a version of life that wasn't real. Then Ava appeared. She was back in performance mode, calm, composed, gliding down the aisle like royalty, smiling like she didn't have a secret in the world. Her hands were steady, her face smooth, and she never once looked toward the back, pretending we weren't there. The officiant welcomed everyone, said a few words about love, trust, commitment, and then came the moment. If anyone here has a reason why these two should not be joined in marriage, speak now or forever hold your peace. I stepped forward. David did too. Gasps, murmurs, heads turned all around us. We walked slowly, side by side, down the aisle, eyes ahead, David holding the folder like it was gold. Ethan's smile dropped. Ava's hands fell to her sides. The officiant froze, mid-sentence. A bridesmaid whispered, "What the hell is happening?" I stopped just a few feet in front of Ethan. "Ethan," I said softly, "I need you to look at this." I held out the folder. He didn't reach for it right away, just stared, eyes wide, like it might blow up. His fingers twitched the way they always did when he was nervous, but trying not to show it. I didn't say another word. I let the silence work. But Ava couldn't stay quiet. "What is this?" she said sharply. Her voice cracked like a whip. "Why are you doing this?" I didn't answer her. I didn't even glance her way. Finally, Ethan took the folder, opened it carefully, page by page. First, the marriage license. I saw the moment it hit him. He stopped, read it again. His lips moved like he was trying to make sense of the words, but couldn't get them to land. Next, the screenshots. Ava in front of a courthouse. The caption, "Forever starts today." A photo of her and a man he didn't recognize yet, the missing divorce record. And then, finally, the photo of Ava with a little girl. The one she told Ethan was her cousin's child. David stepped forward. His voice was low, but clear. "That's my daughter," he said, "and Ava's. She paid me to disappear 3 years ago. Gave me 10 grand to stay quiet. So she could move on without ever getting a divorce." The whole room went quiet, so quiet, it felt like all the air had been sucked out through the chandeliers. No one moved. Even the officiant looked frozen. Ethan didn't say a word. He just kept staring at the photo in the folder. His jaw was tight, his shoulders stiff. He looked like a statue cracked right down the middle. Ava took a step forward. She sounded desperate now. "This is insane," she said. "He's lying. He's been obsessed with me for years. He's trying to ruin my life. Why would you believe him?" Then she turned on me, her voice sharp and shaking. "You've planned this. You've hated me from the start. You're jealous. You just can't stand that he loves me more than you." I didn't move. I didn't flinch. I didn't give her the fight she was looking for. Then Ethan spoke. His voice was low, steady, and it scared me more than if he'd yelled. "You lied." That was it. Just 2 words. But they were enough to end everything. Ava tried to reach for his hand. "I did it for us," she said quickly. "I wanted a clean start, that marriage didn't mean anything. He didn't mean anything. I just didn't want to drag all that baggage into our future." David let out a small, bitter laugh. "That baggage is our daughter," he said quietly. "You told me she'd be staying with your aunt while you rebuilt your brand. You said she'd get in the way of the life you were planning." A wave of whispers moved through the guests. Soft at first, then louder. Chairs creaked. Someone in the back stood up. Ava's face was cracking now, her voice trembling. "It's not what it looks like," she said. "I swear." Ethan looked at her one last time. "Stop." That's all he said. One word. Firm. Final. She froze. He turned to the officiant. "We're done here." Then he looked at me. "Let's go." And that's when it hit me, not just that we'd stopped the wedding, but that he believed me. He believed us. He saw the truth and didn't run from it. He didn't defend the lie just because he wanted it to be real. We walked out together. David followed behind us. No one stopped us. Some guests followed with stunned looks on their faces. Others just sat there, staring like they couldn't believe what they'd just seen. It wasn't a scene from a movie. It was real, and it was over. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. Ethan walked beside me, holding the folder. His face was calm, unreadable. People moved aside to let us pass, whispering like we were some breaking scandal on the news. Ava's family didn't even move. Her mom looked like she'd seen a ghost. Her dad couldn't even meet our eyes. When we stepped outside, I finally let my shoulders drop just a little. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe. David stopped at the car. "I'm not trying to stay in this," he said. "I did what I said I would. That's it." I nodded. "And you did. Thank you." He handed me the tie, didn't say anything else, just turned and walked down the sidewalk like a man who'd finally left the past behind. I slid into the driver's seat, looked over at Ethan. He still hadn't said anything since we walked out. His hands rested on his knees, eyes forward. "You okay?" I asked. He nodded once. Then, after a long pause, he said quietly, "I think I knew. Not all of it, but something. I just didn't want to be wrong about her, about the life I thought I was building. I didn't rush in with comfort. Not yet." He wasn't ready. We drove in silence. When I dropped him off at his apartment, all he said was, "Thanks, Mom." That was it. No dramatic speech. No long hug, just clean final. The next morning, I opened the wedding binder one last time, page by page. I went through everything: the caterer, the quartet, the photographer, the venue, the brunch reservation, the artist who designed the signature cocktail signs. Every one of them, booked in my name, paid with my card. I spent the rest of the afternoon on the phone. The wedding cancelled, not postponed, not rescheduled, just gone. No one argued. Every contract had cancellation policies. I didn't get full refunds, but I got back enough. I pulled the payments that hadn't cleared yet, called the credit card company about the ones that had. I even canceled the spa appointments Ava had secretly booked on my account for the morning after the wedding. I didn't make a scene, didn't post anything online, didn't call her family to explain. I just erased it all line by line until nothing was left of the wedding I'd paid for. Ava never reached out. Not that day, not the day after. I assumed she tried to clean up the mess, tried to rebook, explain, blame, but her name wasn't on anything. She hadn't lifted a finger. She thought the money made her untouchable. But the money was mine, and now, so was the silence. I didn't do it to punish her. I did it to take back what was mine. I didn't do it to punish her. I did it to take back the part of myself I had given up just to keep the peace. Because peace that's bought with silence isn't peace, it's a cage. And I wasn't going to live in a cage anymore. Ethan didn't call for 3 weeks. No texts, no emails, just quiet. But I didn't chase him. I didn't panic or push. Because I knew what that kind of silence meant. It wasn't anger. It wasn't blame. It was shock. The kind of pain that doesn't scream, it just sits in the air like dust, heavy still, waiting for someone to breathe again. So I kept going. I cleaned the house, went back to work, took an extra shift at the library, just to keep my hands moving. I didn't talk about it. Not to my sister, not to the florist who kept calling about the unclaimed vases. I just stayed quiet and waited. That's what mothers do. Sometimes, we wait in the spaces where our children don't know how to talk to us yet. Then one Sunday, I came home from the grocery store and found a brown paper bag on the porch. Inside was chicken soup from a deli across town I hadn't been to in years. No note, no name, but I knew. A week later, a text. Do you still have my old toolkit? I did. I left it out on the porch for him. He came by after I'd already gone to bed. I heard the screen door creak, the porch step groan under his weight. That was it. 2 weeks after that, he called just to ask about a screwdriver. We talked for a few minutes. Nothing deep. Just the weather. A weird client email. Then we hung up. That's how it went for a while. One small moment at a time. He didn't say sorry. And I didn't ask for it. Because I wasn't looking for words. I was waiting for effort. And slowly, it came. He started showing up again on Sundays. Brought coffee. Fixed a loose cabinet hinge. Asked how I was sleeping. I didn't mention Ava. Didn't ask how he felt. I just let him be there. And that was enough. Then, one night, he brought someone with him. This is Lena, he said. We're just friends. She was a nonprofit lawyer. Wore her hair in a braid. Brought wine she'd looked up to go with the pasta I was making. When dinner was done, she cleared the plates without being asked. Wiped down the counter. Asked about the photo of Ethan in 3rd grade still hanging on the fridge. She looked at him when he talked, not like she was trying to impress anyone, but like she wanted to hear him. And when she asked about me, her questions weren't polite, they were real, curious. I watched Ethan soften, not perform, just be. It was the first time I saw him breathe around someone else. That's when I knew whatever Ava had been, Lena wasn't. She wasn't polished, she wasn't perfect, she was present. And that was worth more than all the chandeliers in the world. They got married in my backyard. No big stage. No designer flowers. Just folding chairs borrowed from the church. A string of lights from my garage and a white sheet on the porch railing, because Lena said it reminded her of summers at her grandma's house. Ethan built the arch himself, stained it, sanded it, hauled it over in the back of a borrowed truck. Lena wore a simple white dress, no train, no veil. She walked barefoot across the grass and smiled at me like I was already her family. I made the food, poured the wine, baked the cake even, though it had a cracked edge and the top layer leaned a little. Nobody cared. Their vows were short, a little clumsy. No metaphors, just honest words. Stories, promises that felt lived in. Right before the ceremony, Ethan turned to me and said, "Will you walk me down the aisle?" For a second, I couldn't move. Not because I was surprised, but because part of me had stopped believing I'd ever be seen like that again. We never mentioned Ava. We didn't need to. That chapter was over. Everyone there knew what this day was about. Not perfection, not control, just love. The kind that bends, the kind that waits, the kind that fights quietly when it has to. After the ceremony, Lena took my hand, looked me in the eye, and said, "Thank you for raising the man I get to love." And in that moment, every bruise, every scar, every long silence, it all felt worth it. Because peace doesn't come from pretending. It comes from telling the truth, and choosing love that shows up even when it has every reason not to. I get to love. That's all she said. No music swelled. No slow motion movie scene. Just A quiet sentence that made all of it: the fight, the silence, the long drive to Camden, the folder full of truth worth it. Not because I won, but because the truth finally had a seat at the table. That night, after everyone had gone home, I sat on the back steps with my bare feet in the grass, sipping leftover wine from a mason jar and listening to the quiet. But it wasn't the lonely kind of quiet, it was the kind you earn, the kind that comes after something real has happened, the kind that lets you breathe again. I never got a thank you card from Ava, never heard from her again, and I don't care if I ever do. She's just a footnote now. A woman who tried to rewrite the truth and got erased by her own edits. Ethan's happy, Lena is real, and me, I'm not just the mom anymore. I'm the witness, the one who survived it. The proof that love doesn't mean staying quiet. That peace can be loud, if you're willing to fight for it the right way. Sometimes the best kind of revenge isn't proving you're right, it's being remembered. That's it for today. Now I want to hear from you. What would you have done in my place? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every one. And if this story hit home, check out the others I've shared. You're not alone. We're never really alone.